Okay, after the defense calls their last witness, they rest their case just like they did before, and then now it's time for closing arguments. P before D, prosecution goes first. This is completely different. Now we argue. Now we get a little histrionic. Now we get a little bit worked up. Now we get a little emotional. We're going to try and get people, remember these, we're going to judge here, get a judge to make a decision on our behalf, okay? And even though juries are much more emotional than judges, judges are people too. You're going to want to play to their emotions, right? So now you can say, this is what happened, because now you know what happened. There was evidence. But you can only talk about evidence that was allowed in. You can't talk about evidence that was not. Okay? So if you're referencing things that you forgot to do earlier, that's objectionable. In fact, that's a mistrial. We're done. We're out of here now, because now you can only talk about the evidence that was submitted. Argue. Now you can say the defendant did it. Now you can say he's guilty. Now you can say, oh yeah, and here's what happened, X, Y, and Z. I'm going to walk you through it, okay? Much more emotional here in closing argument. Notice the difference in the name. Closing argument. And first it was opening statement. It's closing argument. There's a reason. You're arguing. It's not just saying a dispassionate handing out of the evidence. It's what exactly you want to happen. Now, if there's what will happen after this is the judge will consider all the arguments, all the evidence, and then the judge will issue a ruling. In our cases, we've usually had the judge write a ruling. Hopefully we'll have enough time to have that happen this time. The judge reads the ruling. If the judge finds him guilty, we go to a sentencing phase. And in the sentencing phase, depending on how much time we have left, sometimes we'll include additional witnesses or additional arguments that can be made by the parties in the sentencing phase to talk about what the actual penalty should be. And then the judge issues his penalty. Judge issues the sentence, whatever he or she believes that the sentence should be. If the judge decides that they're innocent or not guilty, however you want to look at it, case dismissed, we're done. That's it. And the defendant walks a free person. Off they go. Either way, these can be appealed depending on whether or not there were errors of law or errors of fact, primarily errors of law, in the court. If there was, then we have an appeal to argue about, and we can keep going through that to that court system that we talked to you about earlier.